Now let's touch on what regions are you guys focused in, and how do you go about deciding what city to invest in?
I may have just lied to you. I told you we were a people company. We are, but we're also a market research company, right? And that's that before you can even talk about buying these little black boxes that are properties that spit off cash, right? You have to figure out where that black box is going to where the performance of that black box is going to be increasing. And so before we don't, a lot of people look at it backwards. It's like, oh, hey, I just got this great deal in Houston, Texas. Let me go look at it. Well, what do you know about Houston? Not a darn thing. Let's go figure it out. That's a problem, right? You have to understand the macroeconomics of the region, the macroeconomics of the state, and then the city. And then you can go look at markets and submarkets, right? So we're tracking something like 115 markets right now. And when I say markets, I mean, cities and primary and secondary markets. But everything that we are looking at is in the southeastern part of the country, landlocked. The reason for that is the economic. I mean, go read the book Big Shifts Ahead by John Burns, and I forget his co-author's name, another very talented demographer. But they joke about it being written by demographers for human beings, so you can actually understand what you're reading. It's a pretty good read, but it talks about the macro demographic shifts. And if you don't believe it, go look at the U-Haul records. They keep track of where all their trailers go and where people are moving. The Southeast is where people are going. It is where taxes are more favorable. It is more pro-business these days. Companies are leaving, your Californias, your Seattles, places like that. They're leaving and coming down to us. What do jobs mean? Jobs mean people come. When 10,000 jobs from a white collar corporation show up, about 30,000 people show up with that, because you have your service industry jobs and all that kind of stuff that goes with it. So we follow the jobs. Those jobs are in the Southeast. We further narrowed that to Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama right now. We're kind of starting to look at North Carolina. We're buying a property there. And the southern part of Indiana is kind of really close to Tennessee as well. So we kind of consider that the same region. But the reason we look at that is the job growth is right. The population growth is right. The tax environment is favorable. It is landlord friendly. You want to talk about getting your legs chopped out from under you during COVID. If you were in a resident friendly state, pro tenant state, you probably did not fare very well during COVID. But and this is not to say that we want to cut people down when they lose their job. It's to say that the mindset is different. Renting is a privilege in these states, not a right. So these people do everything that they can to make sure their rent is paid, because they know there are consequences for not doing so. And you know what? When they truly need help, we help them. We have helped them find charities and things like that to make sure they can float the boat for a little while they get back on their feet. The people who got their stimulus checks and flat screen TV show up at the dumpster, that's a problem, right? So anyway, I digress. Back to the markets. That is where we're focused, primarily because it's landlocked. There's no insurance risk with hurricanes and all that sort of things. Flooding risk is low. Economic growth is high. And so we can go buy the same asset we could buy in somewhere remote in Nevada. But here we're going to see massive rent growth because supply and demand is very much in our favor, right? So that's where we're focusing and why.